re-signed Cavallari, his 3-year contract.
I'm a rookie.
His 3-year contract. What? You didn't hit record?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's perfect though. It's perfect. I love it. Yeah, I forgot to hit record, dude. God.
So when do we start?
Jeez. Hey, it happens. I looked over and I'm like, I don't see my red light on over there. So we'll start over. We'll make it quick. So Jason, anything happened between now and October? Any big news? What about the signings of these team drivers?
We had a lot of moves out there. One of them was we kind of chose not to re-sign Cavallari on our side, and I know his Yokomo deal was ended after the Worlds. There's some debate out there how that all went down, but essentially he ended up with S-Works all the way around now instead of just on the 8 scale side. Now he's running S-Works 10 scale and 8 scale.
Wow.
And we picked up Dakota on the tire wheels accessory side.
That's big, right?
Yeah.
Dakota's still getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, kind of looking at things, I mean, he was probably the second or the third hottest driver last year, I'd say.
Wow.
Between Spencer and Davide Ungaro, those are probably the 2 hottest guys. And then I'd say Dakota was right there. And what's crazy when you look at some of this stuff is Dakota's I think he's only 22 years old. But he's been racing since he's been 5, so it makes it seem like he's been
he's been around forever.
But I guess this kind of is. He's kind of been around forever. So, it was nice to one of the things that was kind of nice about it was picking up a TLR guy again because they got a new 4-wheel drive for this year. They got this 22 X4, which is kind of shaping up to be a really good car, and I think it's going to be popular, and that kind of helps them. And I think if we can support a guy like Dakota and keep them rocking, then that's really nice because it's another popular platform. They got a good 2-wheel, good 4-wheel. They're making the 8 scales. They started off a little rough with that 8X platform, but I think it's coming around now. So they got some solid, the big 3 or 4 cars that you have to be competitive. Their stuff is getting really good. So it's good for us to have a top tier TLR guy again. And, then we got Mayfield running Yokomo, and then Spencer with Associated, and then we were able to also re-sign Brock Champlin, who was probably one of the most improved guys last year. He kind of got up in there into the elite of drivers and racers, won some races. So we're happy re-signing him. So we like the guys we have, and got a little sounds like a sports franchise. We got a little younger.
Got more speed, a little younger.
A little speed, got younger. At the same time, we maintained our experience.
And stayed under the salary cap.
Yeah, stayed under the salary cap. So a lot of those kind of moves we talked about. There's some moves on the European side, and we weren't Reno Savoia moved away from TLR, and he's on Kyosho now. So. Wow. And it's Kyosho Europe, which means they distribute AKA. So he had to race, not had to, but they told him that, they would definitely like him if he's going to run Kyosho Europe. He needed to run AKA. So we kind of lost Reno, which was our good Euro driver. And then some other Euro drivers moved around a little too. Obviously there's a lot of smaller changes here and there, but those are probably the major ones. And we got the guys out racing this weekend at CRC Winter Midwest.
That's like in its 30th year or something like that.
33rd running.
Wow, that's nuts.
So that's a lot.
I have to get my calculator out. What year does that put us in?
Yeah, I mean, so I got a calculator right here. So that means they started in 87. Sometimes you question these numbers, but I mean,
that's why I was like 87. But okay,
it's like okay. The year Joel Johnson won the Worlds in Romsey, England, him and Masami.
Yeah.
So that was the first year they ran CRC. All right. I don't know who's out there that can who could actually debate it, but
33 years. Wow, congrats. Wow, it's a long time.
It's still it's got to be the longest running race there is out there. What's funny is I've only been one time.
Yeah, it was just a couple years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. Went for the first time a couple years back, and change is quick. But the track looks amazing. Looks like it does look, if you're going to race 10 scale off-road, it kind of looks like one of the races you should probably go to.
Guess I'll have to go to your page and look at it.
That's right. J Concepts on Facebook. Thomas was just live doing.
Oh yeah, I see it right now. Yep.
He was just live doing the seating for 2 mod, and then he'll jump back on probably for 4-wheel or truck or something.
Now,
so yeah, it's good.
Is this in the same location where it was 33 years ago?
No.
Blue infields. Thank you guys. Love it.
It's I think it's moved a couple times.
Look at Trinity there with the banner.
Mm-hmm.
Trinity's really stepping up their game in the off-road scene.
Yeah, they are. It's off-road's been really good to them the last couple years because 17.5 racing is so big. Stock 17.5, and they do.
So we having them in the modified class being contenders now?
They are, yeah. Because Dakota races for Trinity.
Yeah, that's right. Duh.
And yeah, I think, and I read somewhere that they, a couple of their banners they had this year on Trinity, it stated more than just stock motors.
No way, did it? That's awesome, man.
More than just stock motors.
See, I was busting Ernie about the stock class, so.
Yeah, he must have took that to heart.
I emailed him.
It's like, well, Gotti, we're more than stock motors.
We got to start somewhere, Gotti. Give me a break. Trying to make a comeback here.
Trying to make a name for ourselves.
I told him, I said, look, we just got to get, you got to get in the modified. No disrespect to anybody running a stock. I just don't. I check the modified results. That's what I do. I'm old school. Modified's where it was at. So
you're like, who's running fast?
Yeah, in modified.
Because you want to know what motor's the fastest.
Yep.
It's like
I go by those results.
Knowing it's like knowing what. It's like, what's the fastest stock motor? You're like, who cares? They're stock.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I'm not. I'm from the old school thinking. Like, I don't worry about stock. I don't look at it, and I know it's not the thing to do today. But that's me. I just look. What's the 2-wheel drive modified results? 4-wheel drive modified. What's those results? I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
What's at the Worlds? What classes do they run at the Worlds? Right. 2-wheel drive mod and 4-wheel drive mod.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all we need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Stadium truck and short course. You need that too, right?
Stadium truck, yeah.
Y'all running good in stadium? I talked about what Masami used to call stadium truck. It was monster truck.
Yeah.
He used to call it monster truck.
Didn't they call it like heavy metal too back then?
Because when it first started, we've talked about this, but when it did start, it originally was monster truck. They called it monster truck. And then there was a little bit of heavy metal in there, which was kind of running a truck body with buggy tires. That's how I saw it run anyway. Heavy metal. Great name, though.
Man. This cold's beating me up, Jason.
That's okay. It sounds like you're healing up.
All right, so we're doing good there. Oh, look at that. There's Dakota Fenn. Now, is this his first race with you?
It is. Yep.
Okay.
It is his first race. He's doing pretty well.
J Concepts' newest factory driver, Dakota Fenn, looking dicey.
There you go.
With the 22 X4.
Yeah, so they were just live for 2-wheel seating, and then I'm sure Thomas will go live for 4-wheel pretty soon. Hey, by the way, what episode number is this?
201. 201.
201.
Yeah.
And we... part of the reason that we're able to bring this episode is due to the Patriots losing last week.
Oh, thanks for bringing that up.
Sorry.
Well, look, I didn't expect them to go.
You were prepped. You were prepped.
I was.
You had prepped. I know. Yeah, I could see it already.
I wasn't shocked. I was expecting it. Maybe not in the first round, but I thought we'd get that bye week and have a divisional game. And I didn't think it would fare too well with either Kansas City or Baltimore. So I was just mentally like, you never want to root. I wasn't rooting against my team, and I still had some kind of faith there in them. But I was like, this offense is just, not good this year. And we're struggling to get points. And it showed against Tennessee. So what are you going to do? So yeah, the Patriots lose and we're doing episode 201. But I see the part of the reason, we were gone for a while, it was, life happens and so forth and everybody's busy. And then the holidays, you throw it in there. But I was also going for my 6th fantasy football championship this year. And when we got down into the playoffs, it was just total concentration on my part. And I'm happy to announce that I was able to come away with my 6th championship.
How do I?
Thank you. If you're listening out there, crack a beer open for me. Have one. So,
does anybody else benefit from this besides you? Or?
Just me. Yeah. Gives me bragging rights. It was the first time I entered this league. It was, and some of you listeners out there that follow me on Facebook earlier in the summer, well, it was in August. I went to a live fantasy football draft. I posted photos of it. It was my first time I ever went to a live draft with a bunch of guys in a room making picks. Usually you do it online. And it was really cool. I wanted to be, they had an opening in their league. They invited me to the league. Went to the live draft, and we're down there drafting. And it was just really cool. You had guys down there with their laptops and papers making decisions on who they want to draft, and it was a great time. So I showed up prepared. I remembered a week before. I was really nervous actually because it's the first time I was there in person at a live draft. So. And the first couple rounds is easy because you're picking players that that are, good, you know what I mean? But then when you got to fill out the rest of your team with bench players and stuff, it's tough because you get down those later rounds. You got to really know your players. And, you don't want to, I was nervous making a fool of myself picking somebody in a late round that I probably shouldn't have picked.
Like, oh, there's the new guy.
Yeah, that's what it was like, too. I walked in and, I knew the guy that ran the league, but there was guys there I didn't know, and it was kind of like he was introducing me to him and stuff. And I was a little nervous. I was like, damn, man, because when I saw how serious these guys took it, I was just like, all right, we gotta, we got to do this. We got to buckle down here. And it was a little nerve wracking, but it was a great time. And I ended up finishing the regular season at 10-3, and it was a 10-man league. And went into the playoffs. And their format was a little different than what I was used to. Usually, when I'm in a fantasy league, you go into the playoffs. You go into your first round, which is usually week 14 of the NFL season. So usually you go 14, 15, 16, and the last week you never play because week 17 in the NFL is too unpredictable. A lot of teams rest players, like Baltimore rest Lamar Jackson. And so it's too hard to start your, you know what I mean? It's just a tough decision. So on this league, it was week 14, 15, 16, and 17. So in the first round of my playoffs, I played 2 weeks, and then they combine your score to determine the winner to see if they move on to the finals. And then in the finals, you play 2 weeks, combine the score to come out with the winner.
Okay.
So it was really hard week 17 because I had Lamar Jackson on my team, and they sat him on week 17. So week 17, I had...
So you didn't get any points for that?
Well, no, I had Ryan Tannehill as my backup, which I picked up early, mid-season. I picked up Ryan Tannehill because I was hearing rumblings that Tannehill is going to be, he's going to be coming in there. They're benching Mariota. Man, I know I'm boring listeners right now, but yeah. Jason's sleeping. Hey, Jason, you talk about stuff that I get bored about, monster trucks, whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll finish it up real quick. Anyway, I picked him up mid-season, and he ended up just catching fire. They benched Mariota, and Tannehill just went on a tear. So, but I had Lamar Jackson, who also just tore up the league, so I didn't really need to start Tannehill until week 17. And Tannehill, and then I had a bunch of other players that helped me out. But I ended up winning the finals pretty easy. I would have to look up the final score, but I think it was like 330 to 220, something like that. So I was pretty excited. And my Facebook page has been updated to 6-time fantasy football champion. Oh, and wow. I have on my profile the years that I won on there for you.
Let me check that out.
For you friends of mine to see. Yeah. Uh-huh. So it was exciting. It was a good time.
You know what's always better? You know what makes things a real good time? When you win.
Yeah, I know.
It's really fun to win stuff. I noticed. It's like anything I get into when I win. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, I'm looking up your updates here. Oh,
well, it's in the. You have to go to. What do you call that? The profile page.
I see your cover photo here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, intro. 6 times fantasy football champion. 06, 07. You got 2009.
Wait. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's 2009.
2009.
How'd that happen?
2011, 13. Like, yeah, you're 6-time champ, but they're not in a row. So you can see it's.
Oh, my God. Come on. In a row? That's tough, man. I had a back-to-back, though, in 06 and 07.
Yeah, you did. Look at this dry spell, though, from 13 to 19.
Exactly. And that's why I was so pumped up this year, especially in this league, because, it was, like I said, I was in a new league, and I just wanted to do good. Like, I didn't want to embarrass myself or anything. And, I was really pumped up when it looked like to me that I can grab this championship.
Well done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, 2013 was my last one. So I had if I did my math correctly, 6-year dry spell there. But we're back, baby. All right, RC, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. If you want to talk about RC, you can.
You know what's wild is there's a 12-scale Worlds going on right now.
What? Where's this at?
Yeah.
It's got to be. It's overseas. Yeah, right.
It's in the UK.
Okay.
And
let me guess. Rick Howart's winning.
No. No.
All right. Is Rick Howard racing?
I don't think he is.
What?
That's actually something.
How do I find this 12 scale worlds thing?
Good question.
Oh, I thought you were on it or something on the page.
No, I just know what's going on. And you know what's kind of interesting is I've seen a couple, some new cars out there. There's one of the big teams in on-road is Awesomatics now.
Awesomatics?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Cool name.
Yeah, I like it.
And they're introducing a 12 scale, it looks like.
I gotta Google this. Now the 12 scale, I think I follow somebody on. I follow a 12 scale on Instagram. They give you 12 scale photos. It's like 12 scale porn.
They haven't shown that car with all those photos yet.
Oh, here we go. 12 scale racing. Okay.
Yeah, kind of how, obviously Kirby loves all those photos, but they don't have any of that particular car yet. But they did a little video where you could kind of see a couple things on the new Awesomatics, and people, these guys kind of do things a little differently. The Awesomatics team company, and I'm looking forward to seeing the 12 scale. I mean, it doesn't necessarily want to make me get into it, but if they could do it a little differently, I think it'd be cool.
Okay, so they did on 12 scale racing on Instagram. Man, I can hardly speak this cold. They just leaked. Well, this was 3 days ago. Another leaked pic of the Awesomatics 12th prototype. So they have two photos up here that I see so far.
Yeah.
Kind of a side view, though. I can't really see the chassis. Oh, Red RC put this up. Okay.
Our friends over at Red RC.
Right. Of course. Awesomatics, known for their very popular, successful electric touring cars.
That's right.
Are working on their first ever 12 scale pan car. They still call them pan cars, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Never liked that name, pan car.
Me either. Just seems so like.
I don't know. I just think of it.
It's like you picture somebody with a pan car like coming out of a cave.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just like a pan car. Like when I told somebody that back in the pan car, it's like, all right, dude.
They're like, this isn't real, is it?
I'll admit, I was shocked to see that they still use that pan car.
Yeah, it to me, it's not a good use at all.
Terrible.
Mm-hmm. But people still do. I always think I'm being disrespectful to the vehicle when I say pan car. It's like when somebody says, I'm racing my toy car.
Yeah.
It's like if you were to say I'm racing my toy car and pan car all at the same time, it would be like the ultimate slap in the face.
Right.
Yeah, not feeling it. But yeah, that's what they are. Apparently. Yeah, I hope they can make it kind of cool, a little bit funner, more interesting, and maybe it'll, get some people back into wanting to run the class. I don't know.
Any word on entries? Like, what? How many people go to 12 scale worlds now? How many do they send?
I don't know. There's no associated drivers being sent to those events anymore. I know that.
Wow.
I think it's probably all like X-ray, like Awesomatics type stuff, and then some of the smaller manufacturers that are out there that specialize in 12th scale. Then there'll be Schumacher has a car too now.
Really?
Yeah, they have a 12 scale.
Damn.
So Yeah, it's a little different out there these days.
I would think that 12 scale racing would have more photos from the worlds up there, but not so much, just 2.
Yeah, I think that it's a interesting time in RC right now too, because we've kind of went through a huge media push. At one point where everything was either on the web or live RC, and we're kind of it's I'm not going to say it's a little softer in that respect, but it is. Things have softened up a little bit in the media coverage. Live RC isn't doing near as many events as they used to. There's not really any neo buggy activity anymore. As far as attending and doing the events, Red RC only does a handful of events now compared to what they used to do.
Huh.
So the media coverage just isn't quite the same as it was, say maybe 8 years ago or something
really?
like that. Yeah.
I thought it was grown. I mean, I thought this stuff really took off. I mean, we got like 10 podcasts out there now.
Yeah, that's kind of the hottest thing.
Yeah, podcasting.
It's one of the hottest things is doing the podcasts because everybody can have an opinion, right? That's basically what it comes down to. That's what social media is all about, is people can throw stuff out there that they think, and it's there for somebody to either absorb it or not. And now, you got a podcast where everybody thinks that, they got the next hit podcast. Maybe they do. But it's easy to sit there and BS a bunch of stuff that you're guessing about. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I've noticed, is a lot of people just throw stuff out there that they heard. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, hey, it's like, just because you heard stuff doesn't mean that it's true.
No, but I mean, that's what podcasting is. You just get on there and just, talk about whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, it's like you get into something you like, and pretty soon you're an expert.
Well, I'm not
I'm not. But I mean, I'm saying that's some people. They just like it. They get into stuff and they like it, and then they get really kind of lathered up, and they're just like, man, I got to get more of this. I got to do more.
Lathered up.
and then all of a sudden it's, they're like, oh, I got to do more of this and do more of that, and I'm gonna do a video, and then I'm gonna get into podcasts, and then pretty soon they burn themselves out, and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
You do get burned out a little bit, yeah, and it's a tough thing to keep doing too. I mean, but I think really just life gets in the way a lot of times.
Well, because it's not a job, it's
no. Yeah, you're not going to make a fortune doing it. So, and you can't go into it thinking. That's why I tell some of these guys that contact me, and I'm like, look, if you're thinking you're going to make money doing it, you shouldn't be doing it then. Really, I mean, you're not going to sit here and make a fortune. It's not why you want to do it. You just got to have the love for whatever you're talking about, and plus, you have an interest in podcasting, radio, broadcasting, whatever. And we just started it back in 2012 because, I heard an interview with Joel Johnson. I talked about this before, from Horizon did one with him. And I was like, man, that's really cool. And I thought it was going to be something weekly. And here they talked about whatever during the week, all the products that they have or whatever. And I was like, man, it'd be cool if I said we could do a podcast because we know all these guys. So we could just interview them and talk about the old days. That's where the Radio Impound name comes in, because nobody radio impounds anymore. And it was just be an old school podcast. And then after we ran out of guests, it got kind of like, okay, well, let's switch gears and talk about what's going on today. But I'm not an expert in it because I'm not around in the industry. So it's tough. So that's when we brought Jason in to help.
That's right, Kimmel.
But yeah,
but that's kind of the point where we are right now. And this is where, the reason why there was so much coverage for a good period of time is because the manufacturers were sponsoring a lot of coverage. So they would pay, these companies sponsorship money to go and cover events. And, so Neo Buggy in Neo Buggy's heyday, he could get sponsorships from 4 or 5 different companies and, pay for his trip to go to, the Nitro Challenge or whatever. And
see, I didn't know this.
Yeah. So he was, getting paid to go and, he was getting paid to go and do those events. And
so his out-of-pocket expense wasn't that much. I mean, it was
correct.
Right. Yep. So, okay. All right. Because I always wondered that. I'm like, man, how are these guys affording to go all over the place and cover this stuff? Like, I couldn't do that. But
and then as things start to tighten up, those are some of the things that people tighten up on are those sponsorships and that type of thing. And, depending on what point the industry is in at that time, how healthy everybody's company is determines how much they're giving, to sponsorships, kind of like that.
Okay.
So I think that's the point that we're in right now is there's just not a lot of it anymore. There's not somebody that comes and then social media took over. That was part of the other issue is social media came in and then people started posting their own information and about the events. And pretty soon it was like, well, then the need to put it on a website became a lot smaller because you could go, you could go on social media and see the results. So you didn't need to go, to one of these websites to see the results because you saw it right away on your social media feed.
Yeah.
So, a lot of little changes, but it happens over a period of 10 years. It's just, I don't think nothing happens like this overnight. It's just, over a period of 10 years, all these little changes, all these little changes happen. So that's, I think we'll pull it up here and see how right or wrong we are. Let's see if Red RC's at the Worlds.
Oh, that's what I was looking up anyway. RC 12-scale Worlds.
I mean, as far as I see here, they are not.
I had to take some cold medicine here quick. Hold on.
And during that same span, that's where the scale truck activity really picked up, and not a lot of coverage. They don't do tons of events for those things where they get large coverage. So, but it's really popular. Well, so right now, if there was big events for those things that needed coverage, I think these websites and things could do well asking all these companies to help sponsor their coverage because that side of the business is pretty healthy, right? Mm-hmm. But there's not really these large, there's like 3 or 4 very, there's like 3 or 4 pretty solid events per year, but nothing to where, people are really dying to see the results. They just want to see the trucks. They just want to see pictures of what people make.
Yeah. So, now that you mention it, I really don't go to the websites of these places at all. I mean, if I want to find anything out, like you said, I see it on Facebook.
Yeah. And then that's happened a lot. I mean, you look at what people have paid over time to sponsor, websites and do different things. And
so that's diminishing. that part too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, very much so.
I will say this: I do like Live RC's their news section where I could just scroll down real quick and see something that interests me. I just click on it and read it quick.
That's what's in words.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
You're reading it and you're like, oh, I'll click on this.
Yeah. I kind of like how they kept that. It's been like that for a long time since they started, I think. So it's pretty easy for me to just...
What's funny is how you can be so connected during the day, and you're thinking, yeah, man, not much is really happening today, Mm-hmm. Like yesterday, it's like, not much happening. It's like, all right, you shut everything down, and then I get home, and it's like, I'm messing around with Jazzy, look at my phone, and all of a sudden Associated releases a car on social media. I'm like, so I was gone,
Yeah.
I was off the grid for 10 minutes or whatever the time is, and all of a sudden Associated releases a new car. And it's just funny because it's like the first thing I look at is, well, how long ago was this posted? Right?
10 minutes ago.
And you're like 10 minutes ago. God, okay.
That's what happens when you go off the grid for a moment. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're off for like 10 minutes. Boom. So But yeah, they released the information yesterday on their B6.2.
Mm-hmm. And so what's the big difference between this and the 0.1? So everybody's selling their 0.1s then on Facebook now, or no?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I went to Red RC. They're not covering this 12 scale world, which would be a perfect event for them to cover because they really do well with the on road. They really do well with, the photos of the cars and the inside looks and stuff. But yeah, obviously nobody paid up for them to go, so there's just nothing there.
Wow. And it's not on Live RC. They didn't go.
It might be on the RC Racing TV guys might be doing it.
Oh, yeah. That's right. What is this here?
Yeah.
Masami versus Kimmel video.
Yep.
Wow.
1995 Reedy race.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a kind of a good video out there of one of the invitational heats from 1995 where that race was at the second location, I believe, of M&M Hobbies. I can't remember if Scott Hughes' dad owned M&M Hobbies at one point, Scott Hughes' dad.
Okay.
But I can't remember if at that time he owned it or not. But But that was a good race. It's a good race to check out, and I posted that on Facebook, or I shared that today on Facebook because I was at that race. I raced in the invitational class with those guys, and then Paul raced in the open class. And he got third in the open class, I believe, in 4-wheel. So it was kind of cool. It was a good race. That race in that they're showing right there was probably one of the highlights of the weekend, where you got to see Kinwald and Masami kind of go at it. But what I really like about that video is you see at the end, and you're going to like this part of the video, where so they kind of dash a last minute dash through the finish line, and the camera guy pans over to Masami kind of coming off of his driver's stand position, and he kind of gives like Kinwald like a bump, like a hand bump or something.
Yeah.
Like good race, but I still got you. But like his like. The way Masami looks in that video is just so much like I'm not willing to say that you're better than me. Like one way or another, like he's still
I
very,
saw. Yep.
very,
I just watched it.
you know, yeah, the way he just kind of looks like, hey man, good race, but I'm still a man here.
Yeah.
You know, like, which is really cool.
A lot of competitors. I mean,
yeah, so very true. And I mean, I remember I've had races like that where you beat somebody and you're kind of like, you tell them congrats at the end, but you're not willing to say, you're not saying to them, hey, I got lucky and beat you. You're saying, hey, I beat you because I'm better. And that's what, that's the kind of vibe I get off of that.
Yeah.
Which was kind of neat.
Yeah, I like watching that. I look at that stuff closely, like in sports and everything.
And when the funny part is when you talk to Kinwald, not necessarily in those days, but years later, he loved Masami's racing. Not necessarily like his on track, wheel to wheel, but he really felt that he was the best. And I think that that's something that he always just kind of was always picking up on himself, was that, this guy is the real deal. And he was.
So I'm just scrolling down the list. So we got Extra Lap podcast. I'm not familiar with these. The Voight, or what's this one say? The Voice RC podcast. So that's something new too? The Voice?
I've seen it. I've seen some bumps here and there, on Facebook, people seeing it or whatever.
Huh. I wonder how many there actually are now. That's cool.
Oh, there's quite a few.
I wonder if they're still answering questions like we did back then. Like, what radio station you guys on now? I still run across people today though. What's a podcast? Like when I tell them I have what's a podcast? Like what? And you have to explain to them. Not necessarily people in RC. I'm talking anybody. Really don't know what a podcast is, which I'm still kind of shocked. That's cool though. Yeah, I always said like. Video game podcasts. There's a lot of those guys out there, and that's what I always listen to: wrestling, sports, and finally RC's come up, probably with at least a dozen podcasts out there. I would imagine. I don't know. Oh, Monday morning poll. Do you? Okay. Oh yeah, I commented on this. I think on Facebook. Okay. Do you listen to RC podcasts? Do you listen to RC podcasts? Well, this is by Mike Garrison, our buddy.
Yeah.
Do you listen? So what do you do? Oh, here's the results. 70% people listen to RC podcasts and 30% do not. Oh, this poll ends in 3 days on Live. So they had 436 votes so far.
Which is pretty good. I mean, that's a pretty serious I don't know what you say. It's a good sign, I guess you could say.
How do I vote? Do I listen? I'm going to put no.
You're like, I do one.
I do one, but I seriously don't really listen unless hey, Jason's on this RC podcast, and I'll listen. But normally just video game podcasts. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
You know what I haven't listened to in a long time is 83 Weeks. 83 Weeks.
That's another one. Wrestling podcast. Man, love them.
Yeah, I really got into listening to them for quite a while. And then I kind of like cold turkey, just like stopped listening to them for some reason.
That's what happens though. You end up doing that. Like you end up, there's podcasts in my list here that I just stopped listening to. And then you return to them later on. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll listen to this one now again, I guess it just gotta be.
Maybe Got to be in that frame of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really into listening to that for a while, and I guess the ones I was interested in too are, from the era that I was watching. So it made a lot of sense to me, because it's stuff. And what was the other one with Bruce? I liked that one too.
Something to wrestle.
Something to wrestle with.
Yeah, that was your favorite one.
Yeah, that was the one I liked the best. So, yeah, but yeah, that's a pretty good number. I mean, 70% of people out of 400 and something polled there listening.
Yeah,
that's a pretty big number.
Yeah, I know. Even we were away here, people were still downloading the episodes. The past ones, listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
yeah. So anyway, Associated releases this new kit, B6. 0.2.
Okay. Why do I need to get it? I have a B6.1. Okay.
Yeah, probably because if you've been racing that car, for a year,
the
then you
0.1.
probably need a new one. Yeah, you probably need a new one by now. That's probably the best reason.
All right. And there's a guy out there right now. Okay, I just bought the 0.1.
Yep.
Do I need this 0.2, or can I easily make some changes to make it to the 0.2?
I think you could make some changes and you could update what you have. If your car's really fresh, you could probably get these updated parts and add it to your vehicle, and you'd be good to go again. But it's just so nice to start with a fresh kit if you can, because I think there's so many things about anything, any RC car that just fatigues over time, and you don't, and a lot of people aren't great at maintenance. It's one thing if you go through your stuff all the time, right? And you're extremely good at that, but some people aren't, and this is when they get a freshen up,
get a new kit.
So yeah, and they kind of redid the rear suspension here a little bit. Is kind of the big update. New rear arms, new hub carriers. I'll just read right from the thing. New rear hub assembly with modular vertical ball stud camber link mount and axle height adjustment. New symmetric 73 millimeter rear arms with improved geometry and stiffness can be flipped to allow an in-between rear shock mounting position. I thought I read somewhere that it had a new slipper, but I don't see that highlighted.
I'm sure it does.
It comes now with a front wing and a front mount, which kind of sucks for us because that was a part that we used to have. But
no.
And then
yours is better though.
Of course. So yeah, that's the big thing, the rear suspension. And then they actually still have a B6.2D and a regular B6.2. And one's really meant for dirt, and one's really meant for carpet. But the differences between the two vehicles is starting to really get much closer to one another.
So when did the 0.1 come out? A year ago? So we're
it's probably been, I would say, 2 years.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fair then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you would,
There's a lot of fine tuning that's going on now with these cars because of the traction starting to stabilize now to the point where, track to track, different dirt tracks and different carpet tracks, the traction's starting to stabilize between all of them. So they're able to, now they're fine tuning things with the geometry, and they're not making the huge swings aren't there as much. It's not like from rear motor to mid motor or lay down. Now we're fine tuning things.
Okay.
And that's kind of where this vehicle is at. And yeah, if you've had your B6.1 for a year or two, this is probably a great buy. It's usually one of the least expensive cars on the market, or it's, the parts are for sure. So it's always a good one to get. The other car that I wrote down here too, that I think that these are the two biggest releases of the new year are going to be this B6.2 for 2-wheel drive, and then the TLR 4-wheel drive car. We all kind of rolled our eyes, and when TLR, they hadn't had a new 4-wheel drive for a long time, so it's like, oh, we're going to debut this thing at the Worlds, and we all kind of like rolled our eyes, like, oh gosh, here we go again, because they've had some some bad debuts, I guess we could say. But man, they debuted that thing at the Worlds, and these guys were amazing. Dakota ran that thing, and he really should have won the Worlds. Everybody was pulling for him. Just made a mistake. But yeah, I think those are the two biggest ones.
So when are these?
Two biggest.
Let's see. When was this announced? On Wednesday. So no time. What's the time frame? When they're going to launch? I
would say early February, probably for both. I'm assuming.
Wow! So we're right around the corner.
Yeah. It's a little bit unfortunate because you're. It'd be really kind of exciting if you're a guy that could get both vehicles. It would be kind of the ultimate combination, right? Like it would be to, get the new 2-wheel, the new hot 2-wheel, and then you get the new hot 4-wheel. But them being different platforms,
yeah,
doesn't happen as often. But people still do that because some people that have the money and don't care, they just say, just give me whatever's the best. And then they determine what that is, and then they'll buy it, that way. But now, a lot of people like to stick to their brand, and Associated's 4-wheel's not even a year old yet. So it's interesting because that is Associated's class, that 2-wheel buggy class. It's like if they don't make a good 2-wheel, then they don't make anything good. I mean, that's like their class, that's it's important. It's important for them to have a good 2-wheel, and they know it. And, they've been delivering on it. B4, B5, B6, they've been delivering on that good one. Man, somebody just shared to that Facebook page that you got me involved in, 80s commercials, trailers, toys, and more.
Oh, yeah.
That's a page. Right now they're showing Unforgettable Moment from Our Childhood, which is Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 6. The match that made me quit watching. This is it. This was such BS. I'm still pissed.
I love this page.
I like it kept popping up because you liked it, and it's like, hey, you might like this.
Oh, so yeah, here it is.
Finally, I'm just like, go ahead. So yeah, I'm rewatching An Unforgettable Moment from Our Childhood. 1, 2.
I'm behind. Oh, this is a 4-minute video.
Yeah, because I kind of forgot this part happened.
We'll go right to the end here. Last 30 seconds.
Go to
what?
250 left. Hogan puts him in the small package, doesn't get out of it.
250 left?
Out of it.
Yep,
I'm at 40 now. So right here, I'm thinking, all right, this thing's over. Hogan's ready to give him the boot.
Measures it with the right hand. A second one. A third one.
Wow, this brings back memories.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And you got Jesse Ventura.
And the Hulk's chasing him out to the floor.
Jesse. Look how close
He
the
was
crowd
funny.
was to the ring back then. Look, right there.
Yeah, that's what made it great.
Yeah.
God, the time I went and saw Hogan wrestle, I was so far away. I was like, is that him?
Yeah. Trying to look through your binoculars. Jeez. A lot of old people up front. You don't see that today.
No. So here comes the big gorilla press.
Yeah.
Warrior's struggling right here to get him up. He actually kind of drops him. Big splash. You could tell he was actually kind of...
He couldn't... Look at him, gasping for air.
Quite get him up.
Oh.
Yeah, this was a long match for him. Hogan's got his hands perfectly positioned.
I think he was supposed to lift him there, and they were just like, okay, just drop me. Like...
Yep.
He couldn't do it.
This right here, I was so pumped. I'm like, it's freaking over. It's over. Hogan's getting pumped up.
There he goes.
Yep, I was just like, it's over. I was so pumped.
The Warriors never seen nothing like this. And now that adrenaline is flowing heavy through the body of the hustler.
And he has to give him a nope. Nope.
Crowd loved that. Look at here we go. Hulk is pumped up. He's like, no.
Right here, you're just like, all right, lift the leg. You're like, it's over.
Yep.
Drops. Then you're just like, what? This doesn't happen. And just like that, I never watched it.
Over. Ultimate Warrior with the pin. Oh, no. He got him. No. Jason, stop watching.
Yep, and that was it. I was so mad. Freaking Vince.
Thanks, turn that off.
But yeah, anyway, on the RC circuit, we got the guys over at CRC right now.
I was trying to explain to somebody, or I was just saying our format, how we do this podcast. It's just more like you're dropping in on our conversation. That's how that's what we roll with. So enjoy it. We're all over the place, bouncing everywhere.
Yeah, it's
fun.
There's a bunch of different ways you can do it.
I can't do it the other way. I'm not good at that. There's other guys out there way better at that than I am, segments and so forth. I struggle. I'm more like having a conversation and you guys are just listening. Otherwise, if I can't do it that way, I'm not doing podcasts. But
then you're no good.
No, I'm not good with Kirby and I tried that when we first started. We had a news section, then we had this and that. And just, I'm like, I don't feel comfortable, dude. It's not the way I like doing things. I'm like, I just want to have a conversation and just have people feel like they're just dropping in on it. And that's it. And whether they like it, they like it. They don't. I don't care. I mean, it is what it is.
Right. Yeah, I'm sitting here working on a project while we're talking. Try not to do as much typing.
Well, you got you got the quiet mouse, right?
I got the quiet mouse. That's been working good. I got the new mic that you said was better for the room noise. I got that, which is really cheapy looking, but seems to work.
Yeah. It's one of the popular podcast mics out there for people starting out. So, well, not even starting out. So, I mean, my buddy that has a podcast, he's been running it for 10 years now, and they use the same mics. Player One Podcast, go check it out. Good friend Chris
Player
Johnson.
One.
Player One Podcast if you're into video games. They're on episode 686, I believe. Yeah. They are consistent every week. They don't miss an episode. And now, CJ, Chris Johnson, CJ they call him, he just went on a vacation. They went on a safari over in Africa. So he was away for a few weeks. So what they did was they banked a few episodes. So they recorded a few episodes beforehand and they still released them every week. It's pretty interesting. So
It's smart though.
Yeah, it is. It is. They never missed one. So they did it at the end of the year here. So they were able to they just wrapped up like their end of the year video game podcast, best video games for the year. Then they did an episode on the best video games of the decade, because we're in a new decade now, folks. 2020. Yeah, so it was pretty cool how they did that. So they didn't miss a beat. And where was I going with that?
Just being consistent.
Yeah. We'd like to do it, but it's tough. Now you got me on YouTube. You can't be doing that as you're podcasting.
Yeah, you can get really into that.
I'm on that Masami race.
So what, as far as the stuff that's coming up, for sure, we got, they're at CRC right now. We just ran our first Super Cup of the year, which actually went really well over at Beachline. Beachline converted over from turf to carpet. It's been interesting
converted
for
over
them.
From turf to carpet.
Yeah, so they went from the green AstroTurf to actually
shag carpet.
No, race carpet we'll call it. So CRC going on right now. We did Super Cup last week. That was actually a really good race.
Just explain to me, why would you go from turf to carpet? Like, I'm not. Is that the new thing now?
Well, I don't think turf was ever the main thing.
Okay.
They ended up with turf at Beachline because, as far as I know, Billy Easton had turf that he bought a few years ago when he was going to test for the Worlds in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were looking to work on and change the track at Beachline, they're like, they kind of offered up the turf and said, hey, if you could buy this if you wanted. And so that's kind of what ended up happening is, ended up getting the turf from Billy. And so they went to AstroTurf, which actually worked out really well for them. They probably had it over 3 years, and it was pretty durable for the most part. They got a lot of life out of it, and they still could have kept racing on it if they wanted to. But they decided they wanted to switch over to carpet because they wanted to run some on-road racing, plus just go to straight up carpet off-road.
Gotcha.
And I think the carpet's better.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is.
What do you like about it?
I think the car drives more consistently on the carpet. I think that's mostly it. I think it has a more consistent feel.
So is this something that's, you're going to see turf kind of fade out and people are going to go to carpet once their turf wears out and stuff? Or
I don't think so. I think there's still going to be some tracks out there that just, some people like to have the turf and some people like to have the carpet. Maybe depending on, it seems like you run turf more outside.
I was going to say, if you're outdoors, the weather doesn't affect it. It's like it can get wet.
Yeah, it doesn't get, because it's like synthetic material.
Yeah.
Outdoor and I don't think it starts to mildew and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't think you get that where you would with carpet. It starts smelling kind of like a wet dog. Why do dogs smell when they get wet? Why is that? Maybe somebody can answer that.
Yeah. Message us. Let us know.
Jazzy goes outside for a walk and she comes in and she smells.
Yeah, you're like, damn, stay over there.
It's like, well, yeah, it's like, and then 10, 15 minutes later, it's like not like that anymore. So weird. Anyway, yeah, going to the carpet there has been good, and that was the first Super Cup we've had there on carpet. It's been pretty fun. I just, to me, I prefer to race on dirt outdoors, but I'll race on anything.
Yeah.
I really do like to just race on anything, and I like for it to be different. Like, I don't like racing the same thing over and over again. Like, it's cool to be different, and that's probably the biggest advantage of that right now is it's different.
And the thing with dirt is like that changes too, like the conditions, all the other things you got to.
Yeah.
Or with carpet, you're just.
It really is. It's really difficult. Outdoors dirt is probably the having a handle on your tires is probably the toughest part of the whole thing.
I don't know. To me, that's the fun of it, though. Like trying to figure out the setup, trying to figure out.
That's the part I like about it.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess people don't like that today. Not everybody, but some people don't like it, and they're like, "Well, we'll just go to turf, and it'll be more consistent, and don't have to worry about tires and all this other stuff."
Yeah, there. When you basically trade in things, you can't have the best of all worlds, of course, and there's a trade for all these different things to do, and they're certainly there for dirt versus carpet and AstroTurf. There's a lot of trade-offs, but the part that has been kind of reoccurring over and over again is the cars are built now for traction. They need traction. The cars need traction to perform, and if you can't get it with a dirt track, people, they don't have the patience anymore. Like to them, it's just, oh, my car doesn't have any traction. I can't run. It just blows their mind.
Wow.
And they just can't quit talking about it. I'm loose. I have no traction. It's like, okay. So that part gets a little annoying that people, they really don't, they have to have the traction. And that's kind of where we are today. So the cars are built around having traction, and when people have it, it's so much easier because they just, turn and burn, man.
Yeah.
They just go out there and just, lock to lock, left to right, punch the throttle, do whatever they want. They feel like an animal with the car. It'll just do whatever. And it, sure, they're flipping and crashing, but the thing isn't frustrating to drive and from a traction standpoint. And I think that's what people are liking these days. So I don't know. I think personally what I'd like to see is, and I think this has to happen. I don't think it's something that I hope happens. I think something has to happen is I think people have to get reinterested again in building their own tracks and having backyard racing and backyard tracks. Those are really successful. It doesn't, people are always surprised. Oh man, another racetrack closed down. It's like, well, and then they try to figure out all these reasons why it closes down or whatever. But it's like, in general, having an indoor track and having to pay for all this space, it's very expensive, and people, it's hard to make that pay. And, when you have tracks, county owned or city, or if it's on your own private property, they always, they do well if you do it right, because you don't really have to make a payment on it. So I still think those are probably the most enjoyable when people do well having their own tracks and invite people to come race. And I think it's a successful way to do it. We've had some good ones over time. I think it's funny sometimes when you see, I see people complain online. Well, people are buying online. That's why these tracks can't make it. And you're like, well, what happened to all the tracks in the 80s and 90s? You know what I mean? Like, there was no online shopping in the 80s and the 90s, and they didn't make it long either, right?
Yeah.
So true. It's like, you can't, you know what I mean? It's like a lot of these very famous and very good indoor tracks from the 80s or the 90s, they didn't make it then when there was no online sales. So all of a sudden now that's the biggest issue. It's like, well, I'm not buying that. Of course, it's a contributing factor. But if you look back over time, tracks closed right in the middle of the golden age, or even the heyday, stuff closed. It's like, well, can't blame the internet then. Can't blame the sponsorships and the internet because the stuff wasn't easy back then. Right?
I think my local track closed at that time, like mid 90s, because it was just the insurance was just way too much. It skyrocketed on them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was stuff like that, Right.
And all these things play into that.
Especially today, I can't imagine like these tracks. They have to, have to have land, building, rent, whatever.
The part that kind of gets to me a little is I go to some hobby stores or tracks, and I'll be like, do they ever clean in here? And I understand if the track, there's dirty or dusty sometimes, but I mean, yeah, I'm looking at stuff and it looks like there's, 15 years of dust on things. Yeah. And I mean, I just don't find that very attractive. And of course you have a dirt track and everything gets dirty, but to me, the organization and having it look good and presentable is another part of selling something.
Absolutely.
And if that's not taken care of, I mean, am I going to go on the wall and buy a kit that's covered in dust?
Yeah, I've seen that.
I'm not feeling great about that. I'm not feeling good about that.
Yeah.
Because part of getting it is it's new. It looks new. It looks untouched. It looks like you're the first one to open it, not like it's already pre-damaged. I'm not looking for a vintage item from a barn find, right? Mm-hmm. I'm looking for that brand new car that just came in or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I remember going to some tracks and they pull the parts off the wall and just blow it off because there was dirt all over it.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And I get that it's a dirty dirt.
Yeah, I understand. Yep.
I understand too, but it's like, look,
just go around.
It's got to be presentable. Yeah. I mean, would you go and buy, anything else in that kind of environment? Mm-hmm. Like if you went into the grocery store and everything was covered in dirt and dust, would you buy all that stuff? No. Like you would leave. And I think some of those things become a factor, and you got to do it right. If you're going to do it at all, it's got to be right. And that's a part of it.
When I started working at my uncle's hardware store when I was a teenager, he one of the things you always had to do was go around and dust.
Well, see, there you go. I mean, that's...
Yep. I mean, you had to dust the products off if it was dusty and make it look nice and clean and, put it on the shelf right, make sure it's straight. He was always on your ass about that. Yeah. Presentation, appearance.
Yeah. It makes you want to buy something or not.
Yeah. It seems like to me, though, there is a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of RC tracks out there today.
There is. There's still a lot of RC tracks.
And it seems like the hobby has definitely grown. right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's grown in all directions. So, there's like we've talked about before. There's just so many different genres.
Yeah, there's too many in my opinion, but what do I know?
And you can get exactly what you want now. And back in the old days, you'd go in and say, "Well, I need an RC car." They'd say, "All right, well, you could get one of 4 of these." Or whatever the number is.
Two-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, or monster truck. Which one do you want?
Yeah,
if you're racing off it,
yeah. And now you can get exactly what you want. It's like, oh well, do you want a scale truck? Okay, well, which scale truck do you want? We got one with this body and that body and all this kind of thing, and a lot of options, and. And to me, it had a lot of options back then, but all that stuff sold too. Mm-hmm. But, you had that. Now you go in and you can, a B6 is not a fun car anymore. It's only for racing. You only buy a B6 if you're going to go to the track and race.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to do anything else, chances are there's something else that's more appealing to you to do that. And that's kind of the biggest difference now compared to the old days is, you could go back in the old days and say, hey, I need to get a truck. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to get a JRXT from Losi. Cool truck. But now you can get any kind of truck you want. RTR, ready to go. Body's done. This is done. That's done. Any type of, different manufacturers. And there's just so many options. So RC in general, I think very healthy. A lot of interest in RC, but the racing side of it doesn't grow as fast as it probably could. Maybe because of some of those things, but that's a whole nother conversation. But so there's a couple little thoughts, I guess, on some of those things, but it is. I mean, we got a lot of healthy events going on still, and racing. Club racing is doing well around. I mean, there's some areas where they struggle for entries, but if you're trying to race 3 times a week too, I mean, that's a big commitment from
3 times a week.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I did. Let's see. This week, we did a Orlando Magic game last night because we got some tickets for Christmas. So I went to that game. The night before, I went with Allison, got like a haircut and all that kind of stuff.
Just a haircut or all the hairs cut?
Haircut. So, and these are things you got to do, just randomly during the week. And so it's almost like I had something after work on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Tonight we're doing the podcast. So it's like you got all, not besides the normal things you need to do and your responsibilities. You got another thing to do at night, or an arrangement, or and could you imagine somebody? There's people, if you're going to race 3 times a week, right?
Yeah.
It's a big commitment. I remember when, it's not to say that you can't do it or people don't do it, but you have to really plan your week around it. And it's like, there was a couple of years we had season tickets to the Orlando Magic. And I remember driving over there 3 times a week for that. I'm like, holy cow, this is a lot of work. Yeah, it's like, holy crap, 3 games and 4 nights? Or what? What?
You felt like you played a game.
Yeah. I'm like, they're going to check me in pretty soon. But yeah, it's like when you have these, and it is a lot of fun to do it, but a situation like that, you had to drive 40 minutes, so you got to quit whatever you're doing a little bit earlier than normal, get ready to go, drive over there, then you gotta eat there, right? Because by then you're eating there. You do the game, which is, whatever it is, 2.5 hours. And then you drive home, and pretty soon it's, 10:30. And, 3 times a week. It's a big commitment. And it's not that it wasn't fun. We had a blast doing it, but out of your 7 days, you've already, you've committed.
Are you doing
3 or 4 of those? 3 or 4 of those days, you're committed already.
Man, Ernie used to go to every single one of those.
Yeah, and it is. It's a big commitment, and
can't imagine doing that now in your 40s. It's like,
yeah,
it's brutal. I hate being out after 7 anymore. I can't imagine.
There was a lot of differences, obviously, from when you're in your 20s to 40s, but different things you're doing and chasing or whatever.
Like a couple of weeks ago, I had this I don't even know what got into me, but it was like
had a wild hair.
It was like 8:00 at night, and I said to Carrie, it was on Saturday night, and I said, "Hey, let's go to the movies." Like I had no we went to the movie, so I went to see Jumanji 2 or whatever they're calling it, and I was like. Then when I said, "Hey, let's go to the movies," I'm like, "Wait, it is 8:30 though. Maybe we shouldn't."
I'm not gonna get back till 10:30.
Yeah, but then I'm like, but I was like, "Let's go. Like, let's just go. What the hell, And then I get to the movie theater and I'm like, "Oh, what the hell did I just do?" Like, I started doing the math at the movie theater, and I didn't realize that movie's 2 hours long. Like 2 hours. It's not I was like, Carrie said, "Oh, this movie is like 2 hours long." And I'm like, she tells me this when we're at the theater, and I'm like, 2 hours? I thought maybe like an hour 15, hour 20. Like 2 hours?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was doing the math, and I'm like, we're not getting out of here. By the time they play the previews, it's 20 minutes of previews. And I'm like, we're not getting out of here till like almost midnight. And it was like sheer panic. I was like panicking.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God. And then I looked around the theater and I said to Carrie, Carrie, we're like the oldest people here. Like, this isn't real packed theater. I live in a small town. So there wasn't many people there, but there was teenagers there. And they were looking at us like, what are you old people doing out this late? You know what I mean? So
they're like, I think he's going to be sleeping by the time the movie's over.
I felt like I was going to. I'm like, but seriously, I sat in my seat, I stared at the screen, and I was like, oh my God, we're not getting out of here till like midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what did I do? I don't know how Kirby does it. Kirby's listening to this right now, rolling is like, oh, you pussy. But he's out 2, 3, 4 in the morning, whatever. Still, but yeah, I can't do that anymore, man. I get anything after 7 seems like a goddamn chore. So I don't like to leave the house anyway, but when I do, it's like, whew. I mean, now I'm fine here. I'm in the house podcasting 8:00. I'm okay. But if I was out somewhere, I'd be like that. I was like, oh my God, I got to get home.
I mean, we were at the Super Cup last weekend, and it's hard to explain things to people sometimes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The way they kind of would go down, and they say, well, what did you guys do last night? And they're like, well, we did the banquet here, and then we went to the hotel and we went to sleep. Paul told me he was going to go down to the bar, maybe get one drink, and then I'm like, all right, cool, I'll go down there, have a drink with you and stuff. And we go down there and I had one drink, and I'm like, all right, back in the room, it's 10:00, go to sleep. So the next day, we're talking to somebody, and I was explaining to them that I was like, I said, there was a time where we would go out till 4 a.m.
Yeah. Easily.
Then go to the race, then run the race, and TQ and win. It was like
the Dennis Rodman of racing there.
Yeah. I mean, we would go out
party
and, have a great night. We'd have a lot, going on. We'd have a lot we were doing. And we would wake up the next day. We'd run the race and do really well. Do the work on the cars, mount tires, do whatever was necessary to be good and to be fast, and then run races where full concentration, right where you needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just kind of funny because that's how we did it in those days, and you could do it. A lot of people, being younger. I mean, I think I told the story before, but I remember doing one of the nationals at M&M, and I remember Scott Hughes and I going out the night before, and I remember coming back after we were out and started building my batteries. I think I already glued them together, but I didn't start soldering them or something. Like, they were kind of ready, but so I started putting the bars on, right? I'm like in my, crappy apartment in California, got my Unger soldering iron on, turn it up to 800 and getting the, tinning up the cells and, putting together 3 new batteries for next day's qualifying. Cause I'm like, oh, my cars are kind of ready. Tires are kind of ready.
Just need some batteries.
But yeah, Reedy gave us some new packs, so we better get those ready. And yeah, it'd be like 3 a.m, 4 a.m. after you come back. So you could either wrench. I mean, back in those days, you would either wrench till 3 and 4 a.m. straight.
Yeah.
Order pizza or have McDonald's and just wrench till 3 or 4 a.m.
And that was the fun part.
So you would do that. Like, that was like the first thing you would do. Then, as you got older and you could go out and it was about girls and everything else, then you're out doing that stuff till 3 or 4 a.m. Then you'd get back and still try to do what you needed to do to race. You could get, it's amazing how much you could get done using that much of the clock, I guess.
Yeah. I used to love that part about racing though. Like, go to a race, you go to a track and then afterwards you go to the hotel and just wrench on your cars. You know what I mean? It was like it was like, you all get together, you wrench on your cars, you're sitting there BSing. It was cool. That was fun.
What I would like, I liked having your equipment set up in the hotel and you could just kind of relax and wrench and get done what you wanted to do. And there was no real, not really a lot of pressure. It was a good time and you just had fun with your buddies. Yeah. And that was really a good time in those days.
Now today they don't wrench so much on their cars like we did, obviously.
No, not the top end guys. The top end guys seem to get everything done at the track and they're just they just move on. They're like, to me, Mayfield to me was one of the first people, him and maybe Cavallari, that when the race day was done, it was done. And he just, he's like, I'm going back to the room. I'm going to, kind of wind down, get my beer, get my dinner, whatever. And I'll do the rest of it tomorrow. And he's good at shutting it off like that. And I think more people do that today than they used to. And it has worked for him and it has worked for the other guys that do it, because I think and what's also good, what's also unique a little bit about some of the guys is they're very good at doing it when they need to do it. So like if you give Ryan an hour, he uses that hour to get whatever done that he needs to get done. He doesn't just procrastinate it and then say, oh man, now it's 11 o'clock. I haven't done anything yet. I need to do it at the hotel. Like, he already had it done at like 5 p.m.
Yeah.
It's done. So he's good at kind of that time side of it where it's like, not everybody likes to do shocks and diff or whatever. And he'll just be like, look, I'm doing it. I'm getting it done in the next 45 minutes and we'll be ready. And that's just, so I think there was a time too where, where people handle things like that.
Yeah.
John, watching some seating right now from the CRC race. They're doing 4-wheel, so they got about 6 more races left, and then seating will be done for the day. So Thomas is live showing the video, and on Facebook, and I'm kind of watching the scoring on Live RC because it don't really need the audio while we're trying to podcast, right? Yeah, so next on the calendar here after this race, I think I was kind of trying to get into that a little bit. But, so right now we got the CRC Winter Midwest is going on right now. And then next week we're going to be at the Chili Bowl.
Oh.
Doing some dirt oval. They're helping. We're one of the sponsors this year, so trying to get in and, just be a...
So what have we done in Dirt Oval? Because I know you're one time you're on a podcast talking about it. Looking into, was it last year the first time you went to the Chili Bowl?
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah.
We went to the Chili Bowl. We kind of went down the road. We already kind of started a tire, which would be for 10 scale off-road outdoor, and then for a lot of stuff for dirt oval. They like the pin tires, directional pin tires for wet dirt. And so we had already had these tires last year, the Sprinter tires we were working on, and we brought them to the Chili Bowl last year during a test. Hung out, made some friends, and was a great experience. Probably, had a lot of fun there. Really did. We did some live video, or I did, and some pre-recorded stuff and photos. And I know one video with Brad Shear, one video with Max Fleur were like immensely popular on Facebook. People loved it. And then we got in, we made we had our event, our oval event later in the year. We debuted a late model body, and then we debuted a street stock body. So got those 2 items. So we've been kind of building some product, and building the line. So for this year, we'll still have those. We were named one of the control tires for the street stock class this year.
Oh, okay.
So one of our tires is being used street stock, and so we're going to go there, support that, make sure we have equipment if it's needed, or just anything that's going on. And then of course we'll have the 2 bodies we've already have, and we'll try to weigh how they were doing in competition. And I'm kind of hoping to have one more body and some wheels to show. So I kind of like to go, when we go to these things, I kind of like to have something, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, don't come empty handed. So that's what I try to do, is bring something to the party. And that's what we're doing. So we'll see. If everything comes together, we should have a nice display and some new things, and should be able to watch some good racing and meet some more people.
Cool.
We this year, I don't want to jump too far ahead in the calendar here. So that's Chili Bowl. Weekend after that, Reedy Race of Champions. So yeah, believe it or not, they're at CRC right now, and 2 weeks away is the Reedy Race.
Wow. Unreal.
It is.
Hey, what's Motorama this year?
Well, that's what I was getting there.
Oh. Yeah.
So Chili Bowl, Reedy Race, which, everyone loves the Reedy Race. They don't have trouble, getting a turnout, getting anything there. They always seem to max out for the most part. And Invitational, I think, is a little bit down this year in terms of international participation.
Really?
Yeah, not a lot of international guys are coming this year, from what I understand, which is a little disappointing, I guess. Yeah, it's disappointing. The open classes, I mean, to me, I love it when our guys win the invite, but probably what's really kind of fun to watch is how the open guys do and how they react to being can they be competitive? Who can go there and step up? You know, who can go there and try to win it, right? People that can TQ or win the Reedy Open class, they're always really looked at as the next best drivers. So it's always fun to go see if these kids or these guys in the open class, they got anything, you know, what do they got? So that's kind of that. That's kind of the open class. And
then
Reedy race.
Yeah.
Then we get into our kickoff to all of our events really is the Winter Indoor Nationals in St. Louis. That's always kind of the big kickoff for us, the J Concepts events. And, I really enjoy going to St. Louis for that event. There's something about it, and I'm going to race this year.
Oh, look out.
Yeah, I kind of want to race this year. And I've been doing a little more racing recently, just kind of getting back on the track and just kind of accepting whatever my speed is and whatever practice I'm able to get, and just trying to enjoy standing in line with the good racers or any racers. And you get to talk to people and meet people just standing in line practicing. And that's kind of what I like about it recently is, you go to these races and go to these tracks, and sometimes you don't get out of your pit area and get to go and see or meet a lot of new people. And usually when you're racing and you're kind of forced to stand in line to practice, then you get to talk to people, and it's actually kind of nice. So I'll do my little video thing at the Winter Indoor Nationals like we did at the Worlds, and we'll get that going and try to get a good race in. I'm kind of excited about doing that. I've been doing these videos. I forget when. Just kind of been following some of the racers along and throughout a weekend and showing sort of a different end of the events. And I thought it's been going pretty well. People seem to like them, and let's see how many more laps we got here. We got Dakota's on the track right now doing seating. I don't know how much I don't know if he'll get another lap or not. Oh. Well, he made an extra lap. Right now we got JP Richards on top of seating, Dakota second, Mayfield third, Bornhorst, Drayton Staub, Cole Tollard, Ryan Cavallari, Aiden Horn, Adam Johnson, Jackson Brunson. Yeah, so that heat ended. We got Spencer's got to be up here pretty soon.
Man, I haven't talked to Spencer since the Patriots lost at the.
Whew. He's probably taking it pretty hard. So yeah, Winter Indoor Nationals, and then the week after that is Motorama,
which I just asked in the chat if Kirby wants to go to that this year. I don't know. I kind of want to go for some reason. I haven't been there in, I think, 3 years. It's February 15th, right? February 15th through the 16th. Now, they did get rid of the 10 scale arena, right? the 10 scale track
They're not running 10 scale off road
at all.
now. Right.
So
but they're running now. What they're running is oval, dirt oval.
Oh, okay.
So they're going to have 8 scale and dirt oval. And actually our tires, that's kind of where I was going with the conversation, was our tires are the control tires for dirt oval there.
Yeah.
So all the tires that guys are running there have to run the sprinters. And yeah, pretty pumped about that. We got Fred and AJ heading out there.
Got rid of 10 scale though, off-road. I was kind of shocked by that, to be honest with you. I thought that always did pretty well there. A lot of entries. Actually, that was my favorite thing to watch there, really. I didn't like the big track too much, but yeah, guess there's a lot of 8-scalers out there. They should do H-scale nitro where everybody has to wear a gas mask again. I love that interview they did with Pavitas years ago. He's in a freaking gas mask. Hey, Mark, how was it?
How was it? Oh, it was great. It was a great race out there.
That actually sounds a lot like
It was like that. I was like, holy shit.
The car felt really good. Tires dialed. The track looked good from what I could see. The fog, the smoke everywhere. It's really foggy. My team associated, AKA, it was all dialed. Yeah. Thank you, Mark. You're welcome.
Yeah. All right.
So that's Motorama, and then the week after that is Dirt Nitro Challenge.
And that's week after Motorama. All right.
Yeah, so that runs us through the end of February on our events there, so people get an idea of what things we're doing. And we got a ton of product to release.
Oh yeah.
We got a lot of new cool things that are coming. So I'm pretty excited about a lot of the new stuff that we have in the works.
You excited for 2020, starting a new decade?
I know.
Any predictions for the decade?
Well,
where's RC headed? Will Mayfield be the top driver at the end of this decade still?
What is the end of this decade? 2030?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No?
I hate to say, but
well, it's 10 years.
Another 10 years.
Well, how old will Mayfield be in 10 years?
Well, he'll be, so right now, I'm 43, he's 33, so he'll be my age, so he'll be 43.
Yeah, I don't know.
If he's still doing as well as he's doing right now at 43, he'll definitely be the best driver of all time. I'll put it that way.
Grab a couple more worlds here in this decade.
When you really look at the results and you really look at what people are capable of, what you don't see is you see people with moments and flashes of speed and brilliance, but you don't see the consistency. And I think it's just hard to break into that level of speed and consistency all at the same time. I think it is kind of the problem. And so I think a lot of these guys, they have such a stranglehold on these positions and being as fast as they are, that they have to fall, quite a ways to not be, a factor.
Yeah.
Because of their consistency, because of what they have been able to do over the years, they still seem to be there. And there's a lot of factors that play into this, because not everybody can turn into a pro and just go on the pro tour. So many things have to come together. And I think that's kind of part of the equation. So I don't see. I don't know if I see anybody. I don't see anybody right now that's going to bump a lot of these guys off. Certainly, they can get close, right?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, they get close, and here and there they have moments of brilliance where they beat one of these guys, but in the long haul, they're not doing it. Over the long haul, I still see. I think the Tessmans are really still pretty rock solid, and and they'll probably make it to 2030. Anybody that's probably in their early 20s is still going to be pretty damn good all the way to 2030, which just sounds so nuts.
Doesn't it? It's crazy.
2030.
2030.
I mean, I'll be 53 years old.
Oh, man. 56 here. God. I don't even want to think about it, man. I'm
knocking on the door of retirement.
Wow.
But, yeah, it's kind of it's tough to think about that far in the future. But I mean, you think back, what was 10 years ago? 2010, right? And not really has a lot changed from 2010 in terms of, we still, back in 2010, we still had a lot of races.
Mm-hmm.
There was, the sponsorships, the race events, world champions. We had, there's brushless motors, brushless equipment. Nitro cars were running good. The tops in the game in 2010 of RC was, Mayfield, Cavallari, and Tebow were the three best drivers in the world. And it was pretty hands down at that point, I guess you could say. Those guys were probably the top three, hands down. And, here we are 10 years later, and the equipment is all somewhat similar. Of course, there's all new cars and went through the mid-motor lay down stuff and two-wheel drive. But, everything is evolved. But, it's not like we went from, racing cardboard boxes to spaceships, it's like,
there was nothing that really changed the game, right?
The mid-motor cars changed the industry, changed that side of RC. But brushless motors and LiPo battery is still the biggest thing.
Yeah,
that's still the biggest thing, and they've just been amazing for RC. But yeah, you think to 2010, hey, who's the best three racers in the game? And maybe you take it to four, the best four racers in the game. Mayfield is still one of them. Mm-hmm. So then you got Spencer's going to be right in there. Davide Angaro. Bruno Coelho, he's one of them. Ty Tessman and Dakota, those guys are probably all really, really tops. Then you got David Ronafalk, who's just kind of had a weird year this year. It's not that he wasn't doing well or driving well, but just such a huge commitment they made to the RCGP. In terms of the race events for him, I think I don't know. It seemed like it kind of stunted a little bit of his racing to me. I would have liked to see him run a little bigger selection of events. It feels like I haven't seen him race since November. But he's still one of the best in the game. So, and Tebow, he's still doing well.
These guys are still, yeah.
I mean, he's not one of the clear-cut top three anymore, but he's certainly one of the better ones. And Cavallari is probably not a clear-cut top three, but he's one of the better ones. You know, look right now at the seeding here for four wheels going on. You know, like JP Richards still top, Dakota Fenn is second, Mayfield, Mark Sosa, Spencer Rivkin. I'm sorry. Mark Sosa, Spencer Hecker, Joe Bornhorst, Ryan Lutz, Drayton Staub, Spencer Rivkin, Cole Tollard, Ryan Cavallari is 11th, Austin Wick, Aaron Kaufman, Aiden Horn, Jacob Hardison. So, you know, you look at the results here, and you still see those guys. I don't know where in the hell Tebow went in this class. Why would he not? This is four-wheel drive. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of things that have changed in 10 years, but then I think it really takes a lot longer for major changes than 10 years. I was at the Magic game the other night, and I asked the guys, I'm like, how long has this new arena been here now? And they're like, 13 years. And I'm like, well, when did they blow up the old one? How old was it when they blew up the old one? And they're like, well, like 18 years old. Wow. I'm like, so you're meaning to tell me that the new arena is only 5 years away from being at the place where they would blow it up? I'm like, holy cow. I'm like, this place, I remember them arguing for years to build this new arena using the tax, money and however they do it. And it's always a mess to negotiate those things. And they finally get it built. It's awesome. And we're already 13 years in. And I'm sure they're planning a renovation soon. Jeez. Because there's always something that creates money in these arenas. And, we were just at the Detroit Pistons like a month ago or whatever it was. We were at a game there, and I was there. I'm like, is this still the Palace at Auburn Hills? And, no, that's not our arena anymore. Like, that's gone. What's this? This is, and they're like, this is Little Caesars Arena. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, big corporate sponsors.
It's like, now it's like, and I'm like, well, how old is this? They're like, well, this is 4 or 5 years old. I'm like, wow. And it's nice. It's a nice arena.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking back, I was like, I remember when I went to Staples Center for the first time with Ernie, when it was brand new in like 2000. Well, first I went to a game that I got my own tickets for. Went and saw the Raptors and against the Lakers when Vince Carter was on the Raptors. So that was either 99 or 2000. I think 2000 is when they opened Staples. And then I went with Ernie. Saw a game with Ernie, which was good.
Ernie hates that place, though. He hates that arena.
And I was like, I mean, they're coming up on 20 years.
Yeah. Yep.
That place is coming up on 20 years old. And it's in LA. In LA. So the problem that I think is going to be happening, though, soon is they're running out of places to put these big buildings and parking and all that stuff. So they're going to have to start doing a lot more renovating than clear slate because of just property.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're not going to be able to just blow it up and build a new one quick. So,
yeah, like because you got to play somewhere, right?
Yep.
He's like when we went to, what is it, Gillette Stadium when I went there with Spencer. I mean, it was nice, but his basketball arenas almost seem nicer by comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's more indoor too, right? So with a basketball arena, and they can have, if it's under roof, they can have a little bit more. But the Gillette place was nice, but it was like, it wasn't like blowing my mind.
No,
like this is the 6-time champion Patriots home field. I wasn't like, this place is untouchable.
Have you seen the arena they're building for the Vegas Raiders?
I've driven by it. That's it.
I watched on YouTube. The Raiders have on their YouTube channel. They have a you could see the whole process going on, and they have engineers explain stuff to you, and it's like, Jesus, that place is gonna be beautiful. But yeah.
Yeah, lots of things. The 10-year. It seems like an incredible amount of time, but it really happens quick, and it's just it's like, what was the whole thing? Everyone thinks with 2020 it was going to be like the Jetsons, by
yeah, flying cars.
Yeah, and when they joke about what people would be using computers for and how advanced everything would be, and then they talk about how people just use their phones and computers to look at memes and funny stuff. It's not like all this intelligent work like previously thought, right?
You do know what we're getting in 2020, though, don't you?
PS5?
Yeah.
You like how I could figure that out, huh?
Hell yeah. Can't wait for November.
Holy cow, it's that far away?
Yeah.
Damn. What do you got, a 4 right now?
Exactly. That's how it goes, Jason. PlayStation 3.
So 5
4.
is right after 4.
Yeah.
5 is after 4.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So we better get a lot of podcasting in between now and November, because November's going to be a dead month.
Well, then that's usually when your football starts ramping up.
That too. We're in trouble.
So it's like the Patriots start their season, and then a new game console comes out.
Yeah. Or a video game, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. What are you gonna do?
Life.
Anyway. All right. Episode 201.
Oh, guess what? That's something that crazy that happened the other day. Mac here at work, he goes to lunch. He comes back, and he's like, well, guess who I just saw? Publix is the supermarket we have down here.
Yep.
He's like, check out this picture I just got at Publix. And it's him and the guy that, Kevin Smith, the director that did like the movies like, Clerks and Mallrats and Chasing Amy and all this stuff. He was at our Publix like a mile down from our shop.
What?
Yeah, and what's funny is the picture Mac took with him. He's like exactly. He looks like he's dressed in character. He's got like this trench coat on. He's got his hat on backwards. He looks just like straight out of
Clerks. Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
Oh, so they said the reason he is in town here is because his mom moved from New Jersey to this town. So his mom lives like in the same town where where J Concepts is. So that's why he's at our supermarket.
Oh, wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
Maybe get him in the RC. Maybe have him stop by the shop.
Hey man, come over. Get in one of our vlog episodes.
That's pretty cool. He has a podcast too.
Does he?
Of course.
He's got some great stories from being in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Great Hollywood stories. People he hates working with. And he's just real truthful about all that. Yeah, well, we'll get the CRC in the books here this weekend and see if we can't get some wins. Guys started off seeding. We got some guys seeded well, but could do a little bit better. We'll see if they can kind of see how as the track comes together here. See how these guys do.
All right. Well, best of luck there. Kick some ass. And
thank you.
Thanks for joining us on episode 201. Not going to start the road to 300 stuff, so that's done and over with. 200 was the goal. Jason got me to
everything else is just a bonus now.
Yeah, just a bonus. So
you're wearing the number 45.
45.
Yeah, because when Jordan retired and when he came back first,
oh my God! On that, we're out of here. On that note, terrible.
You sure we're out of here?
Can't wait till I get my 7th fantasy football championship. Surpass him.
Well, when you can play forever, it's not like your career's limited. It's only limited by your death age.
Yeah, whatever. Which might be soon, believe me. Okay. I don't think I'm going to make it to 2030.
Oh, no. You're making it to 2030.
56. God, I just thought about that. I became depressed after we talked about that, and I just been kind of in a funk. Yeah. Wow, that's so weird.
2030.
The PS6 will be coming out around then, too.